Hello, what do you know about vermiculture? Not a lot. Well, you're in good company, because I don't either. I've had to read up about it, and apparently it's the process of using worms to decompose organic food waste, turning that waste into a nutrient-rich material capable of supplying necessary nutrients to help assist plant growth. Woohoo! Well, we're going to have some of that. It's a simple method, it's effective, convenient, noiseless, tasteless, smellless, and it helps to rebuild the soil. We'll learn at Homegrown Veg for rebuilding the soil. As you know, we do a winter composting at Homegrown Veg where we chop and drop seaweed and leaves on a raised bed, and we let the worms and the rain take the strain. We're not going to be using food waste for our composting. We're just going to use the two basic ingredients, seaweed and leaves. We've done it the last few years. There are a number of videos on the channel showing what can be grown in a mixture of chopped seaweed and leaves. Just search on seaweed and leaves, you'll find them, and you'll see what's possible. Right, now what we're going to do here is, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to ensure there is a supply of worms in the raised bed, so that when I do a chop and drop later on in the year, there are worms there that can help turn that chop and drop into compost. And as you know, with worms, what goes in the front comes out the back. Some people will call it black gold. Personally, I think that's a bit of a stretch, but it is good stuff. And so we need to feed the worms some grass cuttings. I think they're off some Brussels sprouts, something like that. Just pop a bit on top of this. Now I'm calling this free range vermiculture, and the reason I'm doing that is because, as you can see, there's no lid on this container, there's no lid on this 10-inch pot. Okay, so the worms can come and go as they please. Now what I'm planning on doing now is emptying this out, checking that there are worms in there, then putting it all back in there, put the food back on the top and stand it to one side. And when we've done the chop and drop later on in the year, when we've chopped the seaweed and leaves mix and we're ready to drop it on the raised bed, I just want to empty these pots onto the top of that raised bed, spread it out, and hopefully infuse the bed with whatever worms are in here, so that I know we've actually got some resident worms in the bed to make that compost for us. And one thing I will say is that the worms in here are garden worms. I haven't bought any worms in for the purposes of this. All these worms originated from my garden, and let's face it, there are thousands of these things in everybody's garden. But anyway, let's have a look in here. Let's see what we've got in this pot. And what I intend to do is to put these worms to one side. We'll do a bit of a head count, shall we? See what we get. Let's hope, oh, I was going to say let's hope there are some, but I can see some already. Right. There's this big guy for starters. The size of him. I think it's a snake. It's not a worm, it's a snake. Right, we'll pop them there. We'll pop that there if it'll balance. And we'll just pop the worms in as we find them, even though they're trying to escape from us. Now remember, I've put no worms in here. These worms are in here because they've found their own way in and they want to be in. If they didn't want to be in, they'd crawl straight back out, wouldn't they? They wouldn't stay. And I can assure you there'll be no worms hurt in this experiment, so to speak. There's lots of small ones that perhaps won't show up too well on camera. There's a few big guys in here. I'm quite pleased with this already because it is well inhabited with worms. I'll show you, I'll pop these worms up a bit closer to the camera once I've got them out of here. We're just disturbing them for a little while. They're all going to go back in here, and then at some stage, as I've said, they'll all finish up on the raised bed and they'll be covered with a lovely layer of chopped seaweed and leaves, and they'll munch their way through that during the winter months, and come spring and summer of the year that compost will be well broken down. It'll be going into pots and we'll be growing vegetables in it. I did that last year. There's a number of videos on the channel. Just look under seaweed and leaves and you'll see what's possible. Oops, nearly lost them. Okay, got to be a couple of dozen worms there, hasn't there? Yeah, I think so. Got to be a couple of dozen worms there. As you can see, most of these guys have made their way back into the compost now. I'm going to empty the remainder back in there, and then I'm just going to scoop it up, put it back into that pot, put some organic matter on top, and set it to one side. And then when we do the chop and drop, this will go under the chop and drop, and these worms will have more than enough organic matter to see them through the winter. These are the guys that are going to be doing the composting at homegrown veg. The worms and the weather. That's all you need through winter. This stuff will be growing. We'll be growing things in this stuff come the spring and the summer of next year. Alright, let's put these guys back to bed. There we go. Now the only reason I emptied this out was to actually show you what I was up to. So I'm not advocating you need to keep doing this, keep checking the pot. Just let them get on with it. I didn't really want to disturb those worms, but we did. Pop this on top, and every now and again put something else on top, some fresh leaves. So that's it then. Free range vermiculture. This is homegrown veg. Signing out.